Do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? You're right. You can answer this in several ways. You can say you're that on planet Earth spinning around the sun in a galaxy we call the Milky Way, if you want to be all existential and philosophical and scientific. You can say that you're on Earth, you're in North America, in the United States, in Kane County of the state of Illinois, and in the city of Elgin. That would also define where you are. Geographically, you could say, I am currently located at a latitude of north 42 degrees, 3 minutes, and 36 seconds, and a longitude of west 88 degrees, 17 minutes, and 23.8482 seconds. That is geographically where you are. Physically, you are located in, and someone said it a second ago, they yelled it out. Who yelled chapel a second ago? Say it again. Your chapel. Physically, you're located at Herrick Chapel on the campus of Judson University. That's a pretty awesome drone photo, isn't it? Of our campus with snow all over it. Does anybody know who took that picture? Bet some people do. Somebody a bunch of you yelled it, right? Who? Joshua Maxwell, right? Is Joshua here today? Joshua, you here? I don't know if I can spot him. Joshua took it. Joshua also happens to be one of our Rice students, incredibly talented artist. So you could say that you're here at Herrick Chapel. Today starts our series of Ask Me Anything. And my topic is Judson's 5-year plan. But to answer that question, I ask you again, do you know where you are? And you could probably guess by now that I'm not talking about the galaxy you're in, or your longitude or your latitude, or the country or the state or the county or the city you're in. No, my do you know where you are is really thank you for choosing to be in chapel today when you could really be anywhere else on the face of the earth. So with that, if you would please, for just a moment, if you would please join me in standing up. Everybody in chapel stand up. Just take a minute to look around. See how everybody's standing together? That's called community. And that's what chapel is. Thank you. You can be seated. The reason I shared that story with you is because a couple things when I start my class, I thank them for being in class at 8 o'clock in the morning at Lindner Tower. Because I know you all are ready to be at a class at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Everybody's just anxious and ready to go at 8 o'clock. I say, thanks for being in my class. Thanks for being in this chapel today because you could be anywhere else on the face of the earth. And yet you chose to be here today. It wasn't by circumstance that you were walking down 31 or you're on I-90 and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I think there's a chapel over there. I'm going to go over here and sit in this chapel and just see what happens today. See what circumstances befall me because I'm just going to wander in chapel and be a part of it today. No, you are here by choice. You may be sitting there going, well, what's my choice to be at chapel? It's mandatory. I have to get my chapel credits. You still chose to come today. You still chose to be here today. Regardless of some of the context of how you chose to be here today, it's your choice to be here today because there's other students at Judson right now that chose not to be at chapel today. But you chose to be here rather than anywhere else on the face of the earth. That's what choice looks like. That's what circumstances looks like. So we're appreciative that you chose to be in chapel today. Choice versus circumstances. It defines where you are and knowing where you are. I mean, do you know that you are at a Christian university? Virginia Stem Owens teaches at a Christian school in Texas. And one of her assignments to her class was to do an essay on the Sermon on the Mount. Here are some of the responses her students wrote in their essays. Quote, The stuff the churches preach is extremely strict and allows for almost no fun without thinking it is sin or it's not, end quote. The second one, quote, I did not like the essay Sermon on the Mount. It was hard to read and made me feel like I had to be perfect, and no one is. End quote. And the third one, quote, in this essay, the author explains the doctrines of an era in the past which cannot be brought into the future in the same context. This essay now cannot be taken the same way as it was written. It can only be used as a guideline for good manners, end quote. So comparing the Sermon on the Mount to being a guideline for good manners. It's not surprising, really, within the last several months, chatting with several of your classmates here at Judson University, here's some responses that I've received. Not going to lie, I never understood the point of a lot of these Bible classes, because why do I need to learn about John the Baptist when I go to school to try to be something that has nothing to do with religion-based? The next one, I will never understand why I have to take 3 religion classes if I'm not a ministry major. Do you know where you are? The reason I asked, do you know where you are? Because I was blessed to have a phenomenal conversation with Gio at the end of last semester. Now, how many of you know Gio? Yeah, pretty much everybody knows Gio, right? And part of the reason I shared the story, we had a great discussion, he's standing right back there as a matter of fact. Great discussion, great dialogue about how do you put all this stuff together and what does it mean and what does it look like? And Gio said, hey, my dream, my vision, can I share your dream and vision? Is that okay? Thank you. Of course, I'm asking him in chapel, it's going to be like, no. Ixnay on the Ijnve. I said, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to be in the pit playing percussion on Broadway. I was like, that's awesome, man. I can see you doing that. He is a phenomenal drummer. My new favorite jazz drummer of all time. And I said, Gio, this is why some of this stuff's important to you, because you're going to be in the pit. You're going to have this Broadway director on stage doing a musical production. That Broadway director is going to say something, and they're going to be like, yeah, and then this needs to happen. And then you're going to be in the moment, you're going to say, you know, that reminds me of exactly something that occurred to Moses in the Bible, and this is how it unfolded. And that director's going to look at Gio, and they're going to go like, how did you know that? Because I had to take 3 religion classes at Judson University. Do you know why you are here? Do you know that you are at a Christian university, and what does that mean? And I ask that because many of us in the room today do not have a faith life. That's okay. Whether you understand or not, God brought you here, not by circumstances, but by choice. So again, I get it, but do you know where you are? When you said yes to this invitation to come to Judson, you said yes to a theologically conservative Christian university with a Baptist foundation that emphasizes the liberal arts. You may be sitting there right now going, yeah, thanks, old man. I don't care about that. So here's why you should. To answer the do you know where you are, you have to understand these 3 things. Number 1, you are in chapel. And why do we have chapel? Mandatory chapel. Chapel is the literal center of campus. And when I say that, the geographic coordinates I gave you just a little bit ago were the geographic coordinates for this building where it currently sits. It sits in the center of our campus. And when things occur on our campus that are joyous, like commencement, we celebrate them in chapel. And things that we struggle with, like losing 2 students to a car accident, we mourn and grieve in chapel. It is literally the center of our campus. Chapel is the spiritual center of campus. This is why we share why God's truth is the truth. But more on that in just a minute. And chapel is the intellectual center of campus that complements your academic and co-curricular experiences. In fact, over the course of this semester, you're going to hear from some amazing people speaking at this podium and standing up in front of you. And my encouragement to you is, whether at this point you believe in God or not, And if you do believe in God and you have a faith life, your faith life will be deepened. And if you don't, your life will be made richer by the people that come across this stage and share with you while you sit in this chapel. It is good practice for life. If you choose to sit somewhere and be on your device and not pay attention and just let your mind drift off, let me tell you how this will benefit you in your life. Because the discipline of learning to pay attention in an environment where you don't really feel engaged is going to help you at your job. Because when you leave here and you go to work, you're going to be sitting through countless meetings that are going to bore you to death. And your ability to stay focused and be present is going to help make you successful in that work, may help you get a promotion, may help you get a raise, but it's going to help you learn how to stay focused and be present. It will also help you stay focused and be present with those that you love most in your life. Because there's no sound more disappointing in your heart than when your child asks you, "Dad, are you listening to me?" Or when your wife says, "Did you hear what I said?" Right, sweetie? Yes. That was me saying that to her, not her saying that to me. So sitting here, learning to pay attention and finding that one nugget, even if you're not sure why you're sitting here, that is a life lesson you'll take with you from here everywhere you go. So that's another reason that you're in chapel, and that's why one of the reasons why it is the intellectual center of campus. If you have a faith life, chapel will deepen it. If you do not have a faith life, chapel is good practice for the rest of your life, and God's going to speak to you regardless. You are at a liberal arts college. Why is that important? Now, if you have had me in class, raise your hand, please, real big. Do me a solid here. Raise your hand so other people can see you. If you've had me in class, raise your hand. Hi. Yep, there you go. Some of you aren't raising your hand. And you got a good grade, too, by the way. I'm just pointing that out. So you can talk to them to affirm this, because I also share in my class this particular phrase. You know what? I don't care what you think. But I care that you care about what you think. I care that you care about what you think. Because the world has plenty of people right now who share things, and you may think, has that person even thought about what they just said? Does that even make sense? At Liberal Arts College, we help you think about what you want to think about and what does that mean to you in your life. That's why we teach the way we teach and why we share the way we share. And here at Judson University, we teach a certain truth. It is God's truth. And you may say, because of your learning and your understanding of where you are, there is no truth. Well, guess what? You're going to believe somebody's truth, whether you understand that or not. So we want to help you think about what you think about and why you think that way, and for you to make those thoughts your own. You're a part of a small, intimate community at a liberal arts college where, I've got good news for you, you will be known. You are known by name. You are known by who you are as a person. I dare say most of you probably know what each other drive if you happen to have a car on campus. You will be known. The bad news is you will be known. You cannot hide at Judson University. Oh, you can try. Architecture students try it all the time. Campus safety comes in at 2:30 and makes them leave out of the studio anyway. You can try to hide, but you can't hide at Judson University. You will be known. And the reason you'll be known, whether you understand that or not, is because God already knows you. You're uniquely, wonderfully, beautifully created by God. You're already known. Our job is to understand that you're known, so you can think about how God has gifted you to think about things and know what to do with that in your life. As a part of this small community, we use these crazy words like love and compassion and caring and forgiveness and I'm sorry and thank you. One of the real things I appreciate about you as Judson students is I walk across campus. The vast majority of you rarely have things in your ears, and if you do, and somebody walks by and says hi, you say hi back. Or you nod your head. Or if you're really cool, you just kind of give me the one-finger wave, like, hey, man. But you still acknowledge each other on campus. because that's the type of community we are. That's the type of college we are. Judson University is a university of first, second, and third chances. Now, how can I describe that for you? Let me think of a relevant example for you. Oh yeah, parking tickets. We give parking tickets and we forgive parking tickets. Especially your first parking ticket. We even have grace if you've got something going on in your life. Give that a shot going down to the city of Chicago. Hey, will you forgive me of my parking ticket? You know what? As a matter of fact, we give parking tickets. If you get several tickets, we forgive parking tickets, but you have more tickets, we boot your car. Why? Why? Because trying that in the city of Chicago, parking in the wrong spot, that is a $300 life lesson, and you lose 6 hours of your life. And good luck getting your car back intact. So it's not because we love giving parking tickets. It's because there's a purpose behind it. It will carry you with the lesson for the rest of your life. But we're a school of first, second, and third chances. We have incredibly talented students academically here at Judson University. This was their first choice. Whether you're in the honors program, whether you're in architecture, whether you're in pre-med, because those degree programs demand that you have a certain amount of academic acumen. Teacher education. You have to have a certain GPA to graduate and be a teacher in the state of Illinois. Accounting. If you want to be a CPA, you have to pass the test. Counseling. If you want to be a certified counselor, the same thing. We have amazingly talented students. We have great intercollegiate athletics. And congratulations, you have just experienced one of the most successful, if not the most successful, fall sports in the history of Judson University. How many student athletes do we have in the room? You can clap for that, absolutely. That's right. No pressure on the spring sports, right? We have an incredible music, theater, and arts program. How many people saw Hello, Dolly? How many people think Anea is now their favorite actress? There you go. Or maybe Daniel Kramer's their favorite actor. Daniel, did you raise your hand when I said in my class? Okay, good. I just want to make sure. We have great music, theater, and arts programs. Our ensembles are incredible. You all do some amazing things. And that's part of the blessing for me and others to be at this institution. JSO, Black Student Union, Latino Student Union, the international students, we have incredible student organizations that do great work. And they're not like student organizations at other college campuses. They are unique and distinct because you are known. Now, let me ask you this. Do we get it right on these things all the time? We do not. Of course not. I still have days I sit in my office and I'm like, I still can't believe they made me president of this place. I'm blessed to have it. But there are days that we don't get things exactly the way we want them to, even given everything I just described to you. But when we get it wrong, we use more crazy words, like, I'm sorry. Let's try that again. I made a mistake. How can I help you? You know, we believe at Judson University that today is a great day. Absolutely, but guess what? We want to believe that because we are a Christ-centered university that feels like that every day, but we are flawed people in need of a gracious God. So many days, our great day to be a Judson Eagle looks like this. We're not perfect. We don't try to be. We don't have to be. There's only one perfect person. And God shared Jesus' message with us. So a lot of our days are spent flying into tree limbs. Still a Judson Eagle. Still trying to fly. We may drop. We'll pick up again. We'll move on. But we're not perfect. So this is where you are. And I and all of us are glad that you are here. Because the vision for Judson, the plans God has for us are amazing. We will continue some of our most important traditions because they are a part of who we are as a Christian university. They are a part of our DNA. That is why one of the questions I get on a regular basis is, why do we have classes on Martin Luther King Jr. Day? We do that because we have an amazing tradition of a chapel celebration on that day. And we also believe that having you in chapel and celebrating the life of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is important, because we also know that many people just see that as a day off. And his life was way too important for just a day off. In fact, this is what Dr. King said about you being at a college like Judson, a Christian liberal arts college that I just described a second ago. Dr. King said, and I quote, "A great majority of the so-called educated people do not think logically and scientifically. Even the press, the classroom, the platform, and the pulpit, in many instances, do not give us objective and unbiased truths. To save man from a morass of propaganda, in my opinion, is one of the chief aims of education. Education must enable one to sift and weigh evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from fiction." That is why we do what we do. We also start the school year earlier than some other schools do and have graduation earlier. So you can have a head start versus other students for either internships in early May or jobs once you graduate. Easter week will always include no classes on Good Friday, and the following Monday we will not have classes and campus will be closed. Because as a Christian university, Easter should always be as important as Christmas. And you will see continued growth and development at Judson University. Our architecture program will have a new graduate studio in downtown Elgin at the old PNC Bank building. In addition to the studios being on the first floor, which will also free up space in HAWAC for first and second year architecture, art, and design studios. In addition, we'll also have apartments where students will live in apartment-style living. Graduate students in particular, and also seniors. So, we are also going to be announcing, sorry Nikki, I should have given you a heads up on this. We'll also be announcing in spring, we're going to be breaking ground on Dawson Field and putting a new turf field in. So yeah. If you're a soccer player, if you're a men's soccer player, women's soccer player, great, you got a turf field. If you're a football player, great, you got a place to practice. Most importantly, congratulations track and field, because you'll have a practice outdoor track to train on. We are in the middle of a 10-year, multi-million-dollar fundraising campaign that has already renovated this chapel. It has renovated Linder Commons, dining hall, and DeBetty's kitchen. And for most of you, you don't know the comparison to what it looked like before to what it looks like now. We have donors that provided a turf infield for the baseball field. And we have added hundreds of thousands of dollars in new scholarships, which many of you are benefiting from financially to help cover your tuition to be here at Judson University. And we started a football program thanks to a donor. Our enrollment will remain stable at 1,500 students, even in challenging time of enrollment decline in Illinois and across the country, because there are just fewer 18-year-olds in the pipeline. Because 18 years ago, fewer babies were being born. So all of higher education is going to be going through this. But God has given us a sustainable plan. So if you want to know how that 1,500 head count breaks out, about 750 of our students are traditional students just like you in chapel. And the other 750 are adult students, especially if you didn't know this, but we have a campus in Rockford embedded in the YMCA. And also our graduate and doctoral students as well. We will continue to put outposts in Judson alumni clubs and chapters in cities like Nashville, in Dallas, in Colorado, in Iowa, in Indianapolis. So when you graduate, you will be able to go across the country and have someone in the Judson family help you get established, find a church, find a community, make a friend. We will continue to be a more diverse campus going forward. We have more diverse faculty and staff than any time in our school history. In the fall of 2012, 8.87% of our total enrollment was Hispanic Latino. This fall, it's 26.81%. In the fall of 2012, 7.09% of our total enrollment was African American or those that identify as a person of color. This fall, it was 11.9%. You can clap and applaud for that. Now, we would like to take credit for that, but honestly, that's God's work. That's God's work calling you here to this place and making it your choice. We'll continue to grow our international student enrollment as well as our Asian American student enrollment, and we have an emerging initiative to recruit Native American students. And we will continue to add innovative programs for students to have access to a college education like our RISE program. And welcome to those visiting today with the RISE visit today. So we're glad that you were here. And you can clap for that too. So the real reason why you are here, whether you know it or not, and you can accept it or wrestle with it all you want, it is because there is an amazing God who loves you and wants you to be here. So we can continue to do all we can do to love you, to encourage you, to walk alongside of you, and to support you. That is why we say at Judson University, and we say it with pride, it's a great day. Now, if you would, please stand and let me close this in a word of prayer. Don't leave. Stand. Everybody stand. Thank you. Heavenly Father, thank you for these amazing students. Thank you for calling them here. Thank you for putting them on the path. Help them to learn to think in the way that you have uniquely gifted them. Help us to walk alongside and care and love and support each other, because when we say we shape lives that shape the world, it's not the students that get shaped, it's all of us. Faculty, staff, students, alumni, all of us doing it together. So thank you for breathing life into this place and being with us. Protect us, guide us. May we have a wonderful, blessed spring semester. Your name we pray, amen. Have a great semester, everyone.